Gentleman yields back. The gentleman from South Carolina, Mr. Timmons, is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to all our witnesses for being here today. Decentralized finance is an incredible advancement in financial technology. At its core, DeFi leverages blockchain technology and smart contracts to create an open, transparent, and accessible financial ecosystem. This means that anyone, anywhere in the world can access services like lending, borrowing, and trading without relying on centralized authorities. However, along with the many promising use cases come many questions about the government's role in this burgeoning space. As a Congress, we have yet to fully acknowledge, understand, and address this technology, causing our country to fall short of our innovative values. Mr. Van Valkenburg, given the unique nature of DeFi protocols, it is clear that incorporating DeFi into the U.S. regulatory perimeter is a complex endeavor. While we have already touched on some, are there other challenges that the U.S. oversight mechanisms and regulatory structures face as these emerging financial systems increasingly come into orbit?
Thank you for the question, Congressman. So why don't we stay on the subject of tax, because Member Sherman brought it up. So tax evasion is a crime. It should be aggressively policed. Those who don't pay their taxes should suffer consequences in this country. I do not, however, think that tax evasion and its existence warrants a 100% surveilled and controlled financial system. So a difficult area in the cryptocurrency space has been getting clear tax guidance from the IRS on how Americans can pay their taxes when they earn capital gains or perhaps their wages on these networks.
I didn't hear his question or his argument. I mean, it's an open ledger, it's publicly accessible. How would you evade something that the world can see? How can you avoid taxes on an open ledger?
It is in fact more difficult to evade taxes when you're using open blockchain networks than using the legacy financial system, which is happy to open shell accounts for you all over the world. I would also add that the IRS has been very, very late in offering clear guidance, and they are the big part of the problem here. They should have offered guidance on brokers who need to file third-party tax documentation and reports long ago using existing congressional authority. Coinbase is a custodial broker, if you will, of cryptocurrency for tax purposes and should be doing third-party tax reporting to ensure that Americans are paying their taxes and the IRS is getting their revenue. There was no need to change the laws to tell Coinbase that they're a broker. The IRS simply hadn't made that rule change. Eventually, Congress rightly decided to direct the IRS to change those rules with the Infrastructure Act. In that process, they explicitly said, IRS, you need to give third-party tax reporters in the crypto space the guidance they need so that Americans will pay their taxes. Even after Congress directed the IRS went on a multi-year rulemaking spree where they ultimately tried to even apply these rules to non-custodial intermediaries apart from Coinbase in an effort that will not work and will trample our constitutional rights.
We can agree that the government is not helping this process. One more question. While Treasury and the SEC have made regulation by enforcement the dominant theme of the Biden administration's approach to DeFi, we've seen some foreign jurisdictions, such as the EU, take a different approach to the space. Ms. Reddick, I'm curious if there are frameworks in place in other jurisdictions that the United States can draw from as it contemplates how to approach establishing protections around DeFi, and what did these foreign regulatory approaches get right, and what can we learn from them?
Thank you so much for your question, Congressman. I think the foreign jurisdictions have moved forward with centralized crypto regulation and given clear guidance to centralized actors in the space. Governments all over the world have uniformly taken the approach to study DeFi more. There are also regulators who've actually experimented with DeFi themselves and conducted transactions. And there are some regulators who themselves have looked at DeFi protocols as cyber or technology that should be reviewed from a cyber perspective in order to accomplish policy goals in that way.
Thank you for that. I think we can all agree that this is the future of technology. There's going to be disruption associated with it, but we need to lead the way and not have the enormous amounts of resources invested in what is indeed the future go offshore. When the U.S. economy is no longer the best place to start a business, we will lose long term. And so I would just say that that's something we need to focus on, and there's balance in this approach, but we need to be intentional about it and not fall behind. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back.